Thank you for being game, for having a conversation with me about this topic. I feel like it's one that needs some content out there around. So yeah, I'm just sort of chatting to people and asking what their experience has been and how it's shifted with an understanding of how our experience works and how that part of their life has shown up differently, if it has.
Yeah. It's good to talk about this, Sarah. It's for so long in the world I grew up in, there was almost a taboo about talking about sex.
Yeah.
And so you felt like if you went off and made out with a girl, that it was violating some public trust.
The horror.
And so it was the breeding ground for a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And a lot of guilt or shame or confusion but here's what it was like for me, like in high school. I was very insecure in high school. I mean, I was good at thinking about things in a way that made me anxious. Oh. And yeah, no, I didn't really talk to girls a whole lot, almost until I met my wife in college, sophomore year. I was just all fumble mumble. But I went to dances and dated, and I was a big sports player, captain of all these teams, and
I bet everyone thought you were all that, and you were there going, yeah. "Oh, I'm awful."
It's true. It was almost like there was a double life. You know what was interesting to me, Sarah? I mean, I had no idea. I didn't even know why this happened, but as insecure as I was in school or around girls, as soon as I played sports, as soon as I stepped on the field or the court, it all went away. Mm. And I would fall in love with the moment and playing, and I won like best teammate award. I mean, I just loved connection and helping other people and playing with other people. And so sports became almost like my healthy drug.
Nice.
Until I found sex.
Yes.
And then I had a very strong contender. But I mean, making out was like the most beautiful thing in the world because my insecure world disappeared.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about conversation or talking and it just seemed so beautiful and so natural at the moment. Then later on, the thinking would kick in and oh my God, it was like a different person showed up. So there was the person playing sports and the person playing sex that was like this confident, enjoying, kind person. And then the other guy was doing most of my living, right? So when I met my wife, she was the first person, I mean, this is 1966. We've been married 53 years, and I knew her for 3 years before getting married.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. Like, it's so gorgeous to me, and from my generational perspective, I'm like, oh, that's adorable.
I know. I know. I mean, and I met her, and she was like so comfortable and warm and present and easygoing that when I was with her, I wasn't an insecure wreck. I just sort of fell into comfort in being myself. I just thought she was bringing out the best in me. I didn't think it had anything to do with me.
Yeah.
I didn't think sports had anything to do with me. It's just I'm good at sports. So I became a psychologist. And the reason why every psychologist becomes a psychologist is because they're a neurotic wreck, and they're trying to learn something that's going to help them do better in life.
Yeah.
And I did. I learned a lot of relaxation techniques and meditation techniques and guided meditations into beautiful spaces, and I would get relief from my anxiety. But anxiety was the norm, and relief was what I wanted and desired and sought after and thought it was out there. And I think in some ways that's pretty common for all of us, is until we know where it's really coming from, we look outside and think it's all has to do with the outside, and I'm insecure because of I'm awkward around girls, so it was outside. And I enjoyed basketball because I was good at it. You know, it didn't have anything to do with state of mind. I had no clue. And then I began to see that I could work on relaxing, work on meditating, work on using my imagination in a way that would temporarily make me feel better. But as soon as I stopped the work, I'd go right back to the same old habit of thinking in a way that made me just awkward. I'd go into a social situation, and I got so I could be pretty good with friends one-on-one, but in a social situation, same thing. All the insecure thinking would kick in, and I really didn't know then how it worked. And so I'd been a psychologist for 10 years, and I learned to love people. And I saw, when I would see anybody, I'd say, well, they're just like me and I'm just like them. They're having trouble because they're insecure, and I know what that's like. And so I enjoyed being a psychologist and trying to help people. And I would often share techniques that I had been using that provided some sense of well-being. Now, let me say something about intimacy, because I've been thinking a lot about this since you asked me to do this, Sarah.
Yeah, do.
I'm going to define intimacy as a strong feeling of connection.
Okay.
So I would feel close to people, but I wouldn't call it intimacy because it was so tainted by my insecurity. So I had friends, I had good friends, and I felt close to them. But it was after sex, I felt intimacy. The great eraser, at least temporarily. Just flying high, clear, no insecurity, and feeling incredibly close to either my girlfriend or my wife or the people around me. But it seemed temporary. It seemed like intimacy is a byproduct of something else. That actually occurred to me that this morning as I was waking up. Often I get new ideas about whatever topic we're going to talk about. Seeing intimacy as a byproduct.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how that's changed. I don't know. I was 40 years old when I met a guy named Sydney Banks. And I started seeing that life experience doesn't come from outside, whether it's feeling good or intimacy or feeling awkward or feeling stressed. It's being created from within by my own thinking. Now, you have to know what a profound relief it was to know that I wasn't an insecure person. I just, at times, like everybody else, got caught up in insecure thinking that created my anxiety and stress and awkwardness. And it was a huge relief. And it also helped me to think that there was some hope that it could be different. And I started connecting the dots. When I played sports, it was because I wasn't caught up in insecure thinking. When I enjoyed sex, I wasn't caught up in insecure thinking. And then my natural well-being, which I didn't know was within me, I started realizing that's when it comes out of anybody. Now, I've had that one insight over and over and over again, Sarah, in the last 33 years. And it's been the coolest thing ever. Now, I've discovered intimacy as our natural state of mind. It's not a byproduct of life. It's truth. Because in truth, we're all part of this beautiful energy ecosystem. We're all, if you will, intimately connected already and always. In other words, unity is truth. I'm already intimate and at one with people and with trees and with life and nature. And so now, for me, intimacy is our natural state. And I can literally say now I have intimate relationships with trees and with birds. And I'm looking out the window at a rhododendron, which is blooming like crazy, these beautiful blooms. And I love dropping into the world where intimacy is characteristic always. It's a universal characteristic. That's where I fall in love with clients. It's not personal. It's just this strong, intimate sense of connection. Now, I've seen when I used to look at intimacy as sort of the prize for sports and sex, I now see it as the necessary ground out of which enjoyment for any aspect of life, and now we're talking especially about sex, it's the ground where I'm not looking for sex as like my drug of choice to help me feel better from my insecurity, and I can have a few moments of intimacy as icing on the cake. Now it's like I already have intimacy and am intimacy and can drop into that state all through the day. And then out of that, sex is an expression of intimacy rather than the source of intimacy. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense to me. Absolutely.
That was my insight this morning, waking up. I was so excited to get together with you and share this with you.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful articulation. Like I've been really, there's lots of that's been something that's been like, not it's been something that I've been hearing, like seeing things around, but haven't seen it like that. But the fact that some people have sex, some people naturally have a clear mind and naturally enjoy
Yes.
sex, and it's where
Yes.
they're clear. And I've always been one of those people. But then I would talk to people about sex, and they would be like feeling insecure about their body whilst they were having sex, and I was like, how do you do that?
Yeah. How'd that work out?
Yeah, that must be rubbish. But yeah, so I didn't understand. But then I was like, well, what's the difference between, when we feel like that, in love with everything? And it is that when we're in love with everything, sex is an expression of that, and it's a deliberate, delightful expression. It's not a compulsive, like you said, like drug of choice. We're not looking to it for something.
Yeah,
We are.
that's right. It's an expression of our well-being rather than a requirement for our well-being, something we need for our well-being. It's an expression of it.
Yeah.
It's a natural expression of it. I mean, that's what I want my kids and grandkids to know, is sex is a natural expression of affection and intimacy and connection. And then I also want them to know that when they feel uncomfortable or guilt or worry or comparison or any of that kicks in, which it has for me, especially earlier in my life, to know, well, that's normal to have thoughts like that come in. If we understand the nature of them, they're just visitors passing through, and they don't really put a stain on intimacy, and we don't get caught up in them, and suddenly that world of insecurity seems like it's truth and real. That's what Sid Banks says the only psychological problem people have. They'll have insecure thoughts, think they're true, and then act on that basis as if they're true. I'm not as good as, this is wrong, I shouldn't, I should, all the judgments. Yeah. I remember one point earlier in my life, I wanted sex way more than my wife. And sometimes I'd have thinking about that. Like I'd get disappointed, or I'd be upset, or you're rejecting me, or if you love me, you would. And fortunately, when I learned these principles, I saw that as my problem rather than her problem. And it started to not be important. I'd become aware of those feelings and be thankful, because they're waking me up out of this insecure thinking and judgmental thinking that I thought was true. And it would bring me back to a place of contentment. Isn't that an interesting way of thinking about well-being as contentment? Yeah. When I saw sex as the carrot to go after and intimacy as the reward, it was, I want, it's all about ego. I want, I need, I have to. And if not, then it's disappointment, it's upset, it's neediness, it's wanting. And when I fall out of that thinking, there's contentment with what is as it is. So if my wife said, I don't feel like it tonight, I was, oh, okay. And then I started learning that behind my insecure thinking is not only contentment, but it's this movement of wisdom toward well-being, toward solutions to imagined problems, toward new ways of thinking about things that would surprise the heck out of me, where suddenly you're resentful one minute and you're compassionate and respectful and considerate and loving the next minute.
Without trying to be those things. I think
Yeah,
that's
that I did that. I did that for years, Sarah.
like
Crying is thinking that creates stress, which is a game killer for intimacy or sex.
yeah.
Trying for me, the feeling of trying used to be an indicator hey, don't blame me, I'm trying hard, I'm doing my best, and I'm going to keep trying until I get this worked out. And now trying is an indicator that I'm just a little caught up in my thinking. And it's time to let that go and see what new and fresh comes up that's not coming from the place of trying, which is ego, which is insecurity. That's what it seems like now.
Yeah, I mean, what I love as well is when, like, in that space, you just, yeah, it is, the rejection does just turn into love. There
Yes.
isn't any, it's just like the thing that always fills that space for me is love, and that's just the most obvious thing. And
Yes.
so I just love that, I love how that promotes in a relationship with another person. It's just freedom to say what you want, because in the saying no, the no hasn't been met with this, but I want to.
Yes, I know.
But you're
I know.
making me feel bad by saying no.
Come on, you were listening. You were listening to me. You got a hold of my script.
But that, yeah, I love that. I love, because it's just, and then the no's as well. Like, I've been on both ends of that, and in relationships, and when the no is really hard to say, it's a more definite no. Like, if I'm like, no, and I'm going to get loads of whinging, then, but if I say no and the no is met with love, the next no might be a maybe as well. Like, there's a freeness to it. It just feels less.
Beautiful. Oh man, goosebumps. There's a freedom in that, open to possibility rather than a closed door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it? That's beautiful, Sarah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really nice.
Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone the way to turn a no into a maybe. It's just love book. Just try harder.
That's for me to know and you to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it took what little pressure was sometimes showing up in me and in our relationships. It took it off the table. It really did. It took it off the table. And it really, I'm so glad I learned about thought and love and wisdom. I love what you're saying about love. I mean, this is just based on current insights. One time I was sitting back with my eyes closed, resting, and I had the experience of, that you close your eyes, there's darkness. It seemed like an immense, vast space rather than just a darkness in my head. It's a little bit like, as a kid, I like to lay on the ground on a starry night. And I like looking at the stars, but I also love looking into the space between and behind and beyond the stars and just imagining infinite space. I don't know, it did something for me. And so it felt like that. I was laying there, eyes closed, and suddenly it wasn't Dickens' head space. It was life space. It was a knowing, and it seemed infinite. And all of a sudden, I saw a feeling take shape. And I'm just wide open. It's like watching a comet go across the sky. And it just showed up. And then like it dissolved. I saw a thought come in and nothing, it was just a dance of energy. And I just had this incredible feeling of love. And then I read a quote by Sid Banks. Can I read a quote?
Of course you can.
Here it is. And he says, in terms of talking about all the problems human beings have and how they get blown up and exaggerated and distorted by our thinking about them, and that when we fall out of our thinking, we experience that spacious, intimate, loving presence. And so he says the answer must be love, because true spirituality is an energized force with no form. So it is pure love because it is total. It is everything. You must turn inside and see for a fact that nothing exists but a spiritual reality. It is total. It has no beginning and no end. I got a millisecond of a glimpse of unity. Then my definition of love changed. When I fall out of my thinking into my heart and feel closer to people, closer to flowers, closer to trees, certainly closer to my wife or my kids or grandkids. When I feel that connection, I'm not making a connection. I'm experiencing the truth that there's already a unity that's always there. So then we can say our nature is love, or as certain mystics have said, God is love. It's one, it's total. We're all part of the same ecosystem of life energy that dances in and out of form. I experienced that. It was beautiful. So when I don't feel close to my wife, I know I've gotten into my head and fallen out of love. Because when I fall out of love, if she says no, it's like, okay, sweetie, right? If I'm in my head, it's like judgment or comparison or worry or what's wrong or why now? Can't you see? Are you blind? Are you insensitive? Don't you care? Oh, I'm embarrassed, sir. I'm so embarrassed. And how wonderful to know how that works. So it doesn't mean what it means. It's not my insecurity is not a statement about my relationship. It's a call to love.
Yeah.
Right? Period. Come home. Come back to the intimate connection that's already true. Yeah. It's why when my mind quiets down, I have feelings that always are Sid called them just deeper feelings that help us feel connected to life, like compassion or love or caring or gratitude. Thank you for this life, this moment, this form, whatever. It's feelings that connect. Yeah. And so when that becomes in truth who we are, it changes how we look at sex and intimacy. That's what I found. Changes it. The intimacy is already there. It just gets covered over by our thinking. It's already there. The love is already there. There's already the truth of belonging and connection and interconnection and totality and the oneness of life is already there. It's already true. It's always been true. even scientists are agreeing with that, they're saying that there's one quantum field, and out of the quantum field, full of knowing, full of information, full of knowledge, it knows how to create and then operate the things on a quantum level.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And it is just the feeling of it is love. And I think, like, for me, my definition of love has changed quite a lot, just internally, like the feeling of it.
Yeah.
And because I think I used to think that the feeling of needing was the feeling of love. I think I'd mislabeled it. And
yeah.
so I'd always, and then the needing would cause some trying, which would usually cause some sex at some point, and then I'd feel good and connected. So it made sense to me.
Yes.
And I love that, like, the definition of love's changed for me completely to, like, just knowing the feeling of love.
Yeah.
And it is so the difference between trying to get something and giving something. It's like, yeah, the expression, the giving, the appreciation is a giving, kindness is a giving. It's like I have everything to give, rather than I need you to make me feel this, or I need this to feel this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so it makes the game a lot more fun.
So much more fun. I used to think love was finding and holding on to certain feelings. So it was about getting and holding. That's ego's strategy. It's always seeking, desiring, wanting, needing, getting, holding, and then being disappointed when it goes away. And more, I've been playing around with, like, this word of intimacy and surrender. My definition of surrender has changed. When I'm caught up in my thinking, my world becomes dark and tight. When I fall into the now, it's not an effort. It's the only thing I can't do through trying. Can't try to be present. I am present. And then it's wide open and free. And there's no trying in that space, no efforting, but there's feeling. There's those deeper feelings of connection. I mean, I played around with this for 2 years, Sarah. I may have told you this before, but Sid called that space underneath our thinking, the now, pure consciousness, the ultimate answer, because that's where our well-being reveals itself. That's where our feelings of love reveal themselves. Our feelings of closeness reveal themselves. All we need to do is set down our egos, if you will. Let go. He says you have to go beyond all thinking, all the intellect, beyond all concepts, beyond all beliefs, even our beliefs and concepts about love that we cherish. So it's a letting go. It's a giving up in a good sense, because you don't give up yourself, because what's always here when you give up all that thinking that weighs on us is alive, aware, awake, creative, loving presence, our true self. And so I experimented with that for 2 years. If at any point I didn't feel close to my wife, I called it dropping in. I drop out of my thinking into where I'm not holding a single thought or belief in mind at all. That's what we're born into. The Tibetans call it newborn consciousness. Isn't that sweet? Newborn consciousness. I'm just no concepts, no beliefs. Some people call it the unknown, because it's not known, can't be known by the intellect. And Sid called that the ultimate space. So I'd be annoyed or bothered thinking about something my wife was doing, then I just drop in. And always there's a feeling to be fully present where you're not trying to feel better, trying to calm your thinking down, trying to do anything.
Not
just
trying to love your wife. Yeah.
not trying, certainly not trying to love my wife, and just dropping into that space. And it felt like my energy would go, my feeling energy would go from contracted, that as soon as I dropped in, it would start opening. And when my feeling energy was opening, no matter what mood I was in or what I was feeling, I'd start feeling closer to my wife. It would reveal truth, that we're already one. It just took away the thinking that says we're not. And I couldn't believe it. I tested it. And then I tested it anytime I had a problem or was upset with somebody or got confused or didn't know or felt like I had a problem. I'd drop into this space of complete not knowing. And I found over and again, in that not knowing is where wisdom knows. It's an intuitive knowing. So I would know what to do or what to say or how to be without having to think about it. And I started seeing how ordinary this is. When I drive a car, if I'm preoccupied, I'm going to have an accident. So I drop in, and then wisdom makes life and death decisions for me. Well, I'm finding out that's true with anything in life. It's true in sex. We drop in, and this deeper intelligence moves us not only toward a sense of connection and unity, but it moves us toward what the Dalai Lama calls kindness, our true religion. Kindness. And that's why it's called wisdom. It wouldn't be called wisdom if it moved us toward, I want to kill you.
Yeah. There's something that happens to me as well when I'm just maybe not totally present, but much more present, much more in that space of love. It seems quite proportional that that's how much sensation I have as well. Like physically, there's I can't feel pleasure physically unless I'm here for it. It might sound a bit silly, but this a sensation of all pleasurable sensation seems to be completely heightened in that space of love because of being present to it. But just that simple.
That phrase, you're caught up in your thinking and somebody says, come to your senses.
Yeah.
I love how you're saying it, Sarah, we come to our senses and it's like taking the veil off our senses. They're much more present. And that is, in my understanding, what pleasure is. It's the unveiling of senses.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Right? So that our natural state, I saw this after I had COVID. I think I told you this, but for 4 days after the symptoms went away, I had no thinking. And I've never been so wide open to my senses, so that the wind on my cheek would bring tears. It was so beautiful. And the way the sun danced on the ocean and the bird singing. Oh my God. I never wanted to leave standing next to the marsh down the road from us where all the blackbirds were singing. And it was so beautiful. Talk about, that's where my definition of intimacy was evolving.
Yeah.
It's another way of talking about love or unity or oneness, or it's natural. I've worked with people who are depressed, and as they fall out of depressed thinking, they go, oh my God, the colors are so bright and beautiful. So you can imagine what that does for sex.
Exactly. That's why I want to talk about it.
Yes.
Because the blackbirds are good, but the other thing that seems really true to me in that space of being in that like total appreciation of senses, of sensory experience,
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
is that things when you're really appreciating it, there's not such a need to go and get another sensation, or but that there's a natural flow of liking lots of different things.
Yeah.
It's like when you feel the exquisite beauty of the wind on your cheek, and it's an exquisite moment. It's like you don't need to go, like, you don't need to stand in the wind all day. It's like you've really enjoyed, you've like been there for it. So then you can hear the blackbirds and be present to that and experience the total beauty of it. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like you can sit with the rhythm of life, the things that come and go, because you're actually experiencing it.
It's pleasurable. So it just feels like being in the flow, or being embracing from a space that embraces the flow, and it's pleasurable. It's contentment. It's fulfillment. I'm already full, so I don't need to go searching for something better or more or different. You know, so much of my life used to be waiting to do something impatiently so that when I could do it, so I could feel better. And I missed a lot of ordinary moments that now washing the dishes is not thinking about how quickly I can get over it so I can do something. It's dropping into this space of pleasurable sensory experience. And then the warm water and the soap, and it's crazy how intimate washing dishes can be, or folding laundry, or just walking from one end of the house to the other. If I'm in my head, I have no sensory experience. I don't. I miss all the pleasurable moments. And then I'm always waiting for what I think are going to be wonderful moments in some distant future that doesn't exist, that I'm just imagining. Right? And then I'm not enjoying the talk with you. You know?
Yeah.
Or your cute little cacti.
Yeah, I got my succulent.
Your succulents behind you. And
yeah, it's the thing, isn't it? It's the senses. It's the
coming to our senses. I love that. I love that. It's an embodied spirituality. Right? I come more fully into my body as one with the universe. It's an embodied.
That's why I love sex, and that's why I love talking about sex, because it's embodied. You can't spiritually bypass that. You can't.
Oh, you can. You can think your way. You can think your way.
Think your way to good sex.
Yeah. There were times in my life when my insecurity would grip me in any circumstance.
Yeah.
You see. And I know that when people have problems with sex, they're not having problems with sex. They're just doing a lot of thinking about something.
Yeah.
I don't like this. This is only for him or for her, or this, I'm uncomfortable, or I can't tell him what I really want, or And then all of that kicks in. I've had tons of clients where that's been true. You know, it's just thinking, you can't think your way to intimacy or happiness or pleasurableness. And yeah, we can try.
Yeah.
We can try.
It's just such a different game.
Yeah.
Without the need, without the wanting, just the being. I feel so sad for all those people and that's why I want, hence the work now, because I just think the returns are so great. Like we can have such being all up here around essentially I think most people value their primary relationship or their sex life as being quite a big part of themselves and being quite an important part of life. And so if they have all of that, just makes that, so I'm just like, oh, it doesn't need to be that way.
No, it doesn't. It sure doesn't. I know. Yeah. Sure doesn't. Sometimes I call that place my drop-in center. And it's open. It's my heart. And it's open. The heart center is open 24/7. Sid used to say we're a thought away from disengaging from our inner life. That's called just stepping into the now. I've had people say, oh, it's so hard. It's so impossible. I say, okay, listen to me. And they go, okay. I said, thought you said it was hard.
That's nice.
That's why Sid would say we're a thought away from our well-being. And he'd try to help people see the truth of that, because most people think, well, it's going to take a long time. It's hard. And he's going, no, it has nothing to do with trying. You know, stepping from being in our thinking into the now is just opening our lens. When I'm thinking, the tree disappears. You can even disappear, and I'm looking right at you. You can disappear if I'm caught up in my thinking, right? When I just drop in, it's wide open, always. It's this infinite space I told you about. It's my true self. It's wide open. And then always there's my hand, my voice, and the tree, and there's you, and it's all here. And there's a feeling in being surrendered or being in the now. There's a feeling to it. I can be in the worst mood, and when I drop in, there's already a feeling of that, like relief or relaxation, or like when we get into bed and let go of what we're thinking, we go, oh, this feels so good. That's the feeling of the now, the feeling of being. It's not a particular feeling, it's a feeling of being, but it's pleasurable because immediately our senses are open and we're in that openness. That's, to me, that's what true pleasure is. It's just not blocking our sensory pathways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there needs to be a word. We need to invent a word for that feeling. Maybe love is the word, but it's hard to not have that misunderstood.
It's much more than anything we can conceive of, that's for sure. Sid said there's no word in any language for it, because you're not in your conceptual mind when you're feeling it. In order to label it, you'd have to go in, and labels always reduce it from this to, oh, here's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's call it. But love is often as close as we can come. I like to think of, my thinking can unsettle me. So when I fall out of my thinking, I have peace of mind. So that's peace. And then when my senses come alive, that's enjoyment. And when I feel connected to people in life, that's love. It's all the same, but just different words to describe different dimensions of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like just all the different colors of light, still light.
Yes. Different colors. I like that metaphor of the pure white light hits a prism and then it's the rainbow. And you can put different words on it, but this is what Sid says, it's a journey of love because it starts in love and ends in pure love, where you sense the source of life is this purity, free of any kind of concept, but it includes all concepts. So it's a unity.
Yeah.
These are such words, Sarah. I mean, we're just making up words, but it's the experience of dropping in and watching the thoughts that burden dissolve naturally as they will, and then feeling connection for free. I mean, oh my gosh, it changed my relationship from one of desiring and seeking and wanting and needing to relaxing and giving up and giving generous, and it's already there. And when I feel it, when I bring it in your direction, it multiplies.
Mm.
To give is to receive, as opposed to I got to get something out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so simple, and it's so like the feeling difference is huge.
It's huge.
It's so huge. And it is the difference between needing and being and giving. But it's so, yeah, it's so delicious.
That's a great word. I like that. Delicious, delight. You see, I like the word ecstasy. I have a whole different definition. That used to be a high feeling that my ego could search for and try and get, rather than the true meaning of ecstasy is to stand outside of. So when I drop outside of my conceptual mind, my thinking being, that's ecstasy. It's the essence of love. It's the stepping outside of the limitation of our ideas. It's freedom. I was working with a young person who was tormented and suicidal. And when I said, when you drop out of everything you're thinking right now, let's do an experiment. What's still here? If you let go of everything you're thinking and feeling, just let it go. Pay no attention to it. What's still here? You know what word she came up with? Free.
Oh.
And she felt free of her insecurity for the first time in years. And then, I mean, I'm so touched. I mean, she's now wisdom teacher. I'm the student. I say, so what other words might come to describe that space that you just dropped into? She said, open. I mean, the Buddhists call our natural state spaciousness, dropping into this limitless space, unbound and limited by our concepts and ideas. Spacious, free and spacious. That was the beginning of her experiencing her own heart, her own well-being, her own innate source of love and kindness. And what a rapid learning curve. What a steep learning curve this person's been on. This teen who was tormented innocently, unknowingly, by not knowing about the role thought played in creating that, without knowing about the drop-in center, and without knowing about the deeper feelings that always reveal themselves when we drop in. Now she knows.
Now she knows.
Oh, now she knows. Now I can't wait to talk with her and ask her, you tell me, what are you seeing? What are you learning about waking up out of thinking that creates our attention and dropping in, and what comes out of that? What are you seeing? What are you seeing? That's all like unbelievable.
Oh, I love it.
She sounds like some of the spiritual teachers I've had. And she's just a wisdom teacher now. She's just speaking from truth, which any of us can do.
That's so gorgeous. Yeah, I heard something. I heard something that seemed to be. It was where the source of insecure thinking comes from. That's how I saw it when I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
It was arguing with the universe about your aliveness.
Yeah.
Like, if we're caught up in an argument about we are worth because we're here, we are magnificent because we're alive, because we're beings. If we're caught up in an argument with the universe about whether we're whether we're worthy, it's a highway to nowhere, because we've already lost that argument. I really liked that. It made me I saw something much more. And when you were saying about her, what she felt free, it reminded me of that feeling of being alive, allowing living to happen. Yeah.
I love that. Arguing with the universe is the highway to nowhere.
Yeah.
Wow. Sarah, wow. Wow. That is so beautiful.
It helped me see insecurity in a whole new way. Like I'd somehow been legitimizing a bit of insecure thinking. And that just like,
yeah,
no chance.
It took me a long time to be grateful for my insecurity, because it just reminds me that I'm wedded to some ideas that are not true. And it's an invitation to drop into a space of where I get nourished from my soul.
Yeah.
And I get uplifted, and I see life as it is, which is something that you don't want to argue with. It's such a beautiful creative expression of love. Everything is given freely. Everything we see didn't exist and was given by the universe. So,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Thinking. And like when it's, to me, it's like I'm barking the thing when I feel any sort of bad feeling about myself, whether it's, or any sort of bad feeling really, it's just like, oh, I'm barking up a tree again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, oh, I've started doing that again. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I've got caught up in that again. That's exciting. It's good. And that, yeah, you're right. The drop-in center. I love that. I really love the 24/7 drop-in center.
24/7. There's no door on it. There's no entrance requirement. Nobody's turned away. It's so unbelievable to me. I mean, it's just right there for everybody. And if we don't know it's there, we don't drop in. We just keep thinking about life all day long. Right? I had to have Sid Banks, a guy with a 9th grade education, remind me, oh, everybody has this space inside, that when we take one little step beyond our thought system into that space inside, it must, you'd say it must bring something beautiful into your life. but I didn't want to take his word for it. So I had to do an awful lot of finding out for myself if that really was true. Seemed too good to be true. I still sometimes think it's too good to be true. It's just unbelievably cool. You know, I had a thought pop in when you were talking about barking up the wrong tree and then dropping in, and there's this field that we can inadequately just say is what love is. In 6th grade, we had a student teacher come in and she just read a novel to us, and then we'd talk about it. It's the first time I experienced having a crush on someone.
So
you know, she was a college student and I was in the 6th grade, and it's the very first time I felt that sense of having a crush. And then I used to read books about relationships, and they'd say, well, there's the honeymoon period. And I go, well, yeah, that's the crush. But then pretty soon there's disillusionment, and there's this and all these stages of relationships and negotiating and working stuff out. And maybe you get to some greater feeling of acceptance, and such a long road and such hard work. And then I find out it's all state of mind. It's not stages. So my wife and I joke around. It's sort of a private little joke, but I don't know. There was the movie Jack Nicholson was in. Oh, what was the name of it? I forget. It was a horror movie, and he would show up. What's that?
The Shining. Whether
Shining. That's it. That's it. That's it. And his famous line was, "I'm back." And it'd strike terror into the hearts of, well, my wife and I used it differently. We used it as, I'm back in the crush feeling. And so we'd be sitting watching TV, and sometimes it's just so spontaneous of this just dropping into, and you go very deeply into this space, and the intimacy, the love that's felt is intense, and it feels like that crush feeling I had in 6th grade. And so I turn to my wife and I go, I'm back. And she blushes because she knows at that moment I'm seeing her as goddess. And it's like, wow, you are so incredibly beautiful. And it's so neat to know that that's our true nature. If I'm not seeing love or beauty, I know I'm in my thinking. Because when I fall out of all of it, freedom, openness, a feeling of connection, always. So Sid would say, truth is found in silence and the state of no thought and the feeling of love. Silence and a feeling. Always. We drop into this inner quiet and there's a feeling of connection. They go hand in hand. He says they're coupled together like lovers.
Oh, love it. I love it. And I love that play with, like, there's no, like, between you what that feeling means. And I like, that's just so beautiful. I love it. And as well, it's effortless. You're like accidentally trip up over, you've just tripped over being in love again, and you're going to tell her. And it's just the nicest, that's just so delicious. It's like just gorgeous.
It's fun. It's just nice to know that it's the honeymoon stage is not a stage, it's our natural state. When we fall in love, that's a metaphor for dropping out of thought into this feeling space, which is our core, which is a recognition of truth, which is intimacy and union and connection and oneness. I love it. That's not a stage. It's our nature.
Yeah.
We can fall in love over and over and over and over again. And it's like, that's been the secret to a 53-year marriage, where we just keep being like little kids and just keep sparkling at each other and goofing around and falling into love over and over again. And when we don't feel close, we don't think it has anything to do with our relationship. It just means, oh, it's your turn to be a little caught up in your thinking. It'll pass. It'll pass. No big deal. It's, can I get you some tea? You know, you want to go for a walk. And
yeah. Oh, so delicious. It's so lovely hearing your experience with it, your life with it. Like,
when you asked me, Sarah, it was really funny. Is, you know, do you want to come and talk about intimacy and sex? And I go, oh, what am I going to say? And as soon as I got over that little moment of insecurity, it was like, wow, this is going to be really interesting. I have no idea what I'm going to say. And then, of course, I start getting ideas popping in, and by just before we started, I was so excited to get with you and talk to you about this.
Yeah, I love it. I've had similar like with conversations with other people. They've said the same thing. Like, I've never thought about this part of it, and this is so delicious, but it hasn't been like springing it conscious for some appreciation, for some deliciousness. I love hearing about it. It just makes me so, hearing about people's like connection with each other and that like delight in each other. It's just, you know, when it's about feeling love and then expressing it with each other, is just.
Here's another thing we haven't really talked about, true, because when I am completely out of my thinking, I lighten up. And Koizi and I laugh so much. It's like seriousness has no space in the heart.
Yeah.
It's just lightheartedness. Even serious things can be lighthearted, I'm finding out, you know, serious things, but a lightheartedness. And so when sex and laughter and pleasure can take their rightful place as expressions of the essence of who we are, it's transforming, because those things have often gotten a very bad rap in societies. Very bad rap, all kinds of perversions. So it's nice to be able to, this talk, I think, is necessary for the world. You know, what true intimacy is, how sex is an expression of intimacy rather than the source of intimacy, and how natural that is, and laughter and lightness and pleasure. The way you talked about senses coming alive is, man, when anything can become really pleasurable. I worked with one guy, he smoked cigars, he was gruff, he had all these ideas about what it meant to be a man, and, you know, and all of a sudden he's dropping into his senses. Sarah, he'd come in and say, don't tell anybody, you're turning me into a wuss. I say, what do you mean? He said, you know what I did last night? My wife was out. I baked cookies with my little girl. And we had so much fun, and we threw flour to each other, and we made these cookies, and they turned out great. And he was like a little kid, and laughing and lighthearted, this guy who was so serious. And then he came in another time, and he hated mowing the lawn because he'd get in his head full of judgments. Why do I have to do this? This is stupid. I can't wait until my daughter's old enough. I shouldn't have to be doing this. And then he woke up out of that thinking, and he comes in one day and he says, you can't tell anybody this. I said, what? He said, I think I had a mystical experience. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was mowing the lawn and I looked down and the grass was green. He said, what do you mean? He goes, let me say this again. Dicken, it was green. I mean, I've never seen green like this. It was so beautiful.
Oh, that's so gorgeous.
Talk about sense. And you can imagine how his relationship to his wife, suddenly he was falling in love over and over again. And they had been banging heads for years. And all of a sudden it's falling in love, and then intimacy, and then feeling that closeness and that little kid delight in each other. And then, of course, you can imagine how that affected their sex life.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I love it. And it just lets you play. Like,
lets you play. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frees us up.
Yeah. But we're not, we're not trying to appreciate the grass.
No.
The
He
grass
was blown away.
Yeah.
He was so blown away that he could experience so much delight and pleasure in just the ordinary day-to-day stuff. And that's our birthright. That's what's available to us. That's, there's a teacher, current teacher these days, who talks about the intimacy of consciousness. That when we drop into pure consciousness, there's always an intimacy because there's no duality created by our thinking, and we experience connection. And so that there is the intimacy of consciousness. And I think that's the key to enjoying washing the dishes, enjoying the feeling of touching another person or being touched. Yeah, that's the foundation of the pleasurable enjoyment of all of life, of sex, of talking about stuff.
It just makes sense. It just makes total sense. It's just, it's like it's like I had the experience with my kid, and I can't remember if I told you this before, but like when I was looking at her trying to love her, I felt everything but. And when I got over it, and I got over the idea that I had to look after her, that was like the linchpin idea, I suppose. When I just stopped, I was like, oh my God, I have a beautiful little girl. Oh my, like it was just like, oh. It was so beautiful. And it's like it's that in it, but just in.
That's why you said so emphatically earlier when I was talking about not feeling close to my wife of dropping in, you said emphatically, not trying to love her.
Yeah, because I did that one good.
Because you knew that one well. You knew how that's a dead end when you go barking up that tree.
Yeah. I think we do it with romantic relationships because we think we're supposed to, but I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to feel this, and try really hard to feel love. It doesn't really work. I mean, it's tragic, but it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, we all do it. We all do it. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, this has been a delight. You're a delight. I love how you interview because you're just in it. You know what I mean? You're not just the reporter asking questions. You're in it and delighting and sharing, and it's really, really easy to talk to you, Sarah. Keep doing this.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying every minute.
I know you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep at it.
I will definitely stay with the word delicious today.
Good. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
participating and inspiring.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sarah. You take care.
And you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.